I'm delighted to be joined by the Mayor of Greater Manchester, Andy Burnham. Andy, very good to see you. At this very difficult moment...
Good evening, Robert.
At this very difficult moment, can you reassure Jews, obviously in Manchester more widely, that they are safe? We had reports from our colleagues at Granada that attendance actually this weekend in shuls in synagogues was down. There is a lot of anxiety around.
Yeah, there certainly is. And I've heard that myself as I've gone around this weekend. We've worked hard with Greater Manchester Police over the weekend, Robert, to reassure people. They've conducted some 4,000 visits to synagogues and other places of worship over the weekend. But of course, you know, those levels of concern will remain high. We just want to say from here a huge thank you to people for the outpouring of support for our Jewish community here in Greater Manchester, and also to our own residents who've been working to support each other. So it remains a very difficult time here in Greater Manchester, but the city region has responded in the way that we hoped it would.
On the day of the attack, you praised what you described as the exemplary police response. We then had the shocking news that one of those killed was shot by one of the officers. Are you clear that it was an exemplary response?
I am very clear about that, Robert, having viewed the one footage of the officers, because what they did was to act in the moment with huge efficiency, if you like, in terms of getting to the scene within minutes. But they also were exemplary in how they handled what was a really difficult situation. There was no sense of carelessness here. The appropriate warnings were given. And of course, we wait to see the full inquiry. But you know, there is no sense here that there was anything other than a very controlled response to a very difficult situation. And it's my view the officers prevented a much more serious loss of life. And it's why I stand by them, I support them, I applaud them. And I'm not going to equivocate in any way, Robert, having viewed that footage. And when other people see it, if in due course it comes out, I know that they will agree with what I am saying. Of course, the officers can't be sure how a bullet might pass through a door, but they operated, in my view, with the utmost professionalism, and we salute them for it.
You're very clear on that. There is another issue. I don't know if you've seen the report in The Guardian that neighbours of the murderer reported their concerns that he was becoming radicalised in a dangerous way some years ago, and they say that they reported their concerns to the police. Have you been able to get any information on what was reported and whether the authorities did respond appropriately at the time?
Well, I have obviously seen the report, and I've asked the Deputy Chief Constable of Greater Manchester Police to investigate it, but I am told already that the report is inaccurate. I mean, there clearly was some information passed, so we'll have to determine exactly what that was. But I do not believe the report to be accurate.
In the aftermath of the murders, we had a vigil attended by ministers. How did you feel when you saw and heard the Deputy Prime Minister, David Lammy, being jeered, booed by anxious Jews?
Well, I think for all of us, you know, it's hard to hear the real hurt that there was and that was expressed by the community. And I know, because I work with the community very closely, that you know there's been a high anxiety level for a period of time now, and obviously a level of anti-Semitic crime incidents that is, you know, obviously worrying to any right-minded person. So we work very closely with the community, and I understand how that hurt found expression on Friday. The thing that I've got to do, and all politicians, is to hear it, to work with the community, to reassure the community, to do more with regard to security, and we are working with Greater Manchester Police about that. And they can be certain, you know, that we just don't walk away from something like that and not respond. We will respond, but in the right way.
But I suppose I'm asking a slightly different question. Anti-Semitism has been conspicuously on the rise for months, if not years. And the view of some in the Jewish community is that the government simply wasn't taking anti-Semitism seriously enough in terms of trying to reverse it, hold it in check. Essentially, you know, get back to this fundamental point, help the Jewish community feel safer.
Well, we take it extremely seriously. I can only talk to you, Robert, for Greater Manchester, what we do here, but we work closely with the Community Security Trust. We absolutely were aware of increasing reports of anti-Semitism, and we have arrangements in place with Greater Manchester Police to respond in the most serious way to all forms of hate crime, but that includes anti-Semitism. So we are living in a world, of course, where, you know, the temperature has been rising, where people, I think, perhaps don't listen as much to other people's perspective these days. They double down on their own perspective on social media. You know, we're living in very difficult times. But from our point of view, we can absolutely assure your viewers that we give the highest priority to anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, all forms of hate crime. It's what we've always done here in Greater Manchester and will continue to do. What I would just make, if I could, is a broader national point. You know, Greater Manchester Police are under sustained pressure in terms of the number of events that we have in our city, the number of people who come to visit our city. And if we are to continue to provide the level of assurance, reassurance that all communities are looking for, we do think it is time, actually, for the government nationally to consider the funding of Greater Manchester Police, because in many ways we face similar pressures as the Met, with the largest Jewish community outside of London, but we don't receive the same exceptional funding to deal with those additional pressures. So, you know, all I can say is, you know, we want to respond in the right way to this incident. We do take hate crime extremely seriously, but at the same time, we need to have in place arrangements that mean that we can provide the reassurance because it's properly funded.
I'm sure the Home Secretary, Shabana Mahmood, will be hearing precisely what you are saying. I mean, on the Home Secretary, she announced sort of new powers for the police to try and persuade people who want to hold repeat demonstrations on behalf of Palestinians to essentially try and get them to move their demonstrations somewhere else. Now, obviously, you know, feelings about the Israeli government's destruction of much of Gaza, the killing of civilians, the starvation of Gaza, you know, people feel genuinely, legitimately concerned about that. How do you get the balance right between restricting demonstrations that may feel threatening to the Jewish community, but allowing, you know, legitimate protest?
It's a difficult balance to get right, and this has always been a city, as you know, Robert, that has, you know, allowed people that freedom of speech, that right to protest. But we are in a situation, and I come back to what I was saying before about being more cognizant of other people's perspective. I think there is this question about the cumulative impact of demonstrations or marches that take place every week, because obviously we have a large Jewish community, we have a large Muslim community here in Greater Manchester. We want both communities to feel safe to go into our city centre, and if either community were to say to us, we don't feel safe, we have to respond to that. So I think it's interesting to see the Home Secretary looking at this issue. I was in a meeting with our Jewish community last week when these points were put to us. Of course, they'd be used really carefully here. Nobody here is in the business of closing down protest or shutting down freedom of speech, but it's got to be exercised in a way that doesn't cause fear and intimidation in other people. This is a place where we want everybody to be able to live free from fear And obviously, we've got to work hard at that. We've got to work together on that. I think what we do have to have, in some ways more than anything else coming out of this, after the period of reflection that we're in, is, if you like, bottom-up, cross-community, cross-faith dialogue on how to manage these difficult issues and make some of these decisions with people, with both sides, if you like, in the conversation. And it's not easy, but I think that's what we need to work harder at going forward.
And on a slightly different issue, to sort of wrap up, I mean, you've just been talking about the importance of bringing communities together, building bridges. Your friend Gary Neville says that he believes the flag is being used in a hostile way. The English flag, the British flag. Do you agree with him that there is some use of the St George's flag that is intimidatory to communities?
I think we've all got to take care, haven't we, to allow people to be patriotic, make that expression of proud support for our country, but at the same time not do so in a way that might intimidate others or is designed to intimidate. And a vast majority of people who do display flags do it in the right way, in the way that we would want to support. So I just think we just all need to take care in the times that we're living in. I think what we mustn't keep doing is just doubling down on our own worldview, our own perspective, without taking care to listen to the perspective of other communities. I think in this social media age, Robert, I think we're all perhaps a bit prone to seeing the world from one perspective and one vantage point, and perhaps not reaching out as much as we used to and listening to other people's views as much as we used to. You know, we are in mourning in this city right now. We are grieving with our Jewish community. It is a period of reflection, but let's really make it so, because I don't think there can be anybody watching your programme tonight who hasn't become more and more uneasy about the way the world has been going in recent times. And we saw that appalling news of an attack on a mosque in Peacehaven near Brighton. I mean, where are reprisals going to get us? Where is doubling down on your own view and not listening to anyone else going to get us? It doesn't get us to the kind of country that we all want to live in, where, as I say, everybody is able to live their life free from fear.
Andy Burnham, as always, very good to see you. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you very much, Robert.